Hi, everyone. Today, what I am going to do, I'm going to take you through my journey of learning how to use Lenormand cards. And it's almost like whenever you're discovering what cards that you want to use for psychic readings, it's almost like you are Harry Potter. You're trying to find that wand that will make your readings that much more magical. So, before I started using Lenormand cards, I was actually using just typical Oracle cards and absolutely loved them, but a friend introduced them to me, and it was like there was no turning back once I started learning how to use these Lenormand cards. So whenever I begin my psychic readings with a client, what I normally do is I tap into their energy, into their aura. I intuitively find out, okay, well, what areas of their lives do they need guidance on? Is it finances? Is it health? Is it spiritual? Is it relationships? Is it their career? So what area of their lives do they need help with? What do they need guidance with? Well, and then I would do the oracle cards. But when I did the Lenormand cards, I felt like I found my wand, because as soon as I started using Lenormand cards, it's almost like my intuition was very validated. And a lot of times people would go, "Whoa, those cards really match what you said." So that's what can happen. Your readings can come so much more magical once you find those cards, when you find that wand that makes it that magical. So, anytime you do use cards, it's really good to know the history of them or how they were developed, because there's so many people that are developing cards, right? So, what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to tell you the history of Lenormand cards, just in case you are wanting to go on this journey with me. Because on the next video, what I will do is I will go ahead and start looking at the cards and showing you the meaning and how to start learning them and how to use them and how to make them become that magical moment for you. Okay. So, first of all, I think we need to go through the history of Lenormand cards. How did they actually come to be? Now, they have been actually a lot of psychics have been using them in Europe. They've been real popular over there, but that it is making its way to the United States. And if you go to Amazon, you'll see, oh my goodness, so many cards that people are making now for Lenormand cards. So it is beginning to become real popular over here in the States. So, but let's go ahead and look at the history of the Lenormand cards. Now, this fortune teller, she was a French fortune teller, and this is her name is actually used on these cards, but guess what? She did not invent them. She did not make them. So what they did is they used her popularity and decided to go ahead and use her name for the cards. So let's go ahead and learn something about her, because again, it's really important to know the history of a lot of the fortune tellers or the psychics that really helped pave the way for us to be able to be free to do it. Because as you know, back then in France, it was illegal to do psychic work, okay, or fortune teller. And they got arrested a lot. So, but let's go ahead and talk about Marie. All right. So, yes, so she was a French fortune teller, and she lost both of her parents by the age of 5. So she actually became an orphan. At age 5, she really wanted to go into theater and loved the theater, wanted to be an actress, as a lot of 5-year-olds do, with a lot of creativity. And her godfather said, "No, I think we need to enroll you in a convent for girls, for a school, so that you can really, learn a trade academically." So, guess what? She did a lot of predictions, because that's a part of her, that strong intuition. And she got expelled several times from this convent. So then she decided at age 10 to become a seamstress. And as she was working for a person in a store being a seamstress, she did have a psychic reading. Somebody came in and used the cards, tarot cards, and explained to her, Marie, that she would become a famous, very famous one day. And this really intrigued her. And so what she did, she didn't could not afford tarot cards, okay? So what she did, she just used a regular deck of cards to do her readings, okay? And you'll see how Lenormand cards do, a lot of them do have still the card on there, the card symbols. So then at age 15, she was arrested. She was actually arrested by holding seances by the river by herself. And so got arrested since she was, I guess, out in public. So she just kept getting arrested, coming back and changing the way that she did things. Good for her. So then at age 17, she set up a shop, okay? And it was called Mademoiselle Lenormand of Paris Astrology. And within a year she became famous. Everybody knew her name, knew who she was, and she really made some great predictions during the Napoleon age. Now she was again arrested a lot of times because Napoleon didn't like what she was saying. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the way that she did her readings and the tools that she used. It's almost like she used every tool that there was possible to make predictions and to do readings for people. So, of course, she started with the tarot and she did astrology. She, of course, used the cards to do her readings. She used numerology. And some of these are very interesting. I'm thinking maybe I need to dive into it. So, using an egg, she would actually be able to do fortune teller using an egg. She also would do palm reading or by using water. And she would also use by using a mirror, like a crystal ball or a mirror, reflection a surface. She would also use, would do fortune teller by reading people's faces and their facial features and also their mannerisms. I love this. Okay, coffee. When somebody would drink coffee, she could read the coffee grinds, and then she could also read by candles or lamps. And I know I skipped one, and I just love this one. She would also do fortune teller by looking at the behavior of a rooster. Okay, and that was very fascinating to me. So what she would do is put feed down, rooster feed, and she would read the behavior of the rooster and what feed the rooster would pick up. So I found that very fascinating, but she used lots of tools in her practice. All right, so she did die on June 27th, 1843, and she died as the most famous clairvoyant of her time. And I find this is fascinating. She predicted air and space travel and the German War in 1915. And you got to remember, that was way before her time. Okay. So just a fascinating lady. No wonder, they used her name to be able to sell these cards. So the cards, first of all, in 1845, her name was attached to a set of divination cards published in France, okay, by Jamad. Only 2 years after her death. And this is what the cards look like. And I thought they were absolutely beautiful. Had the picture, also had just a typical picture of a card, had a number, and also had a letter. So, which was very different. All right. So the second card deck came out in 1846. And again, her name was attached to this oracle deck, and it was published in Germany. Now, this is looking more and more like our modern day Lenormand cards, because you do see the picture of the card and the ship, just one picture, one symbol. Let me back up the slide so you can see the difference of how the cards looked. In France, it seemed like it was really busy, and then now there's just a ship and a card. So, really, to give credit to this game, because this game really helped things move along for the Lenormand cards, was the game of hope. Okay. And it was based on a deck published in Nuremberg as a game in 1799. And again, you can see the ship, you can see the card, just a typical card on the side, the number, and also a different symbol up there. So a lot of the Lenormand was shaped by this game. So again, if you're interested in using Lenormand cards, there are so many decks that you can find on Amazon. And again, a lot of people are just beginning to fall in love with Lenormand cards and making their own, just like oracle cards or like, tarot cards. So whatever you're drawn to. I did find one that also was a deck with fairies. So a lot of people are drawn to fairies, they're drawn to Victorian. And of course, the cards that I'm going to use in this series of learning how to read Lenormand cards is going to be this deck. And it is an extended edition. And again, I'll get to that at a later time. So I hope that you learned a lot. During this history of Lenormand cards, again, whenever you pick up any tool, it's really good to learn the history of whatever tool you're going to use in your readings, just so that it's almost like a friend. You get to know them better, okay? And so I hope that you find the Harry Potter wand that will make your readings magical. And again, next time, what I will do is I will show you the deck I have and teach you how to get started reading Lenormand cards. All right. So hope this it leaves you well and many blessings and have a wonderful week.